Houston Police Chief Art Acevedo on yesterday's program. I told you who he is. He was the chief in Austin. Now he's the chief in Houston, and how he skirts the law in favor of illegal immigration. He champions sanctuary cities. He also simultaneously calls for the infringement of our Fourth Amendment rights in service of his gun-grabbing ideology. Well, he was incredibly unhappy about the fact that I and others called him out. He did not like the fact that we discussed him on this program yesterday. And so he decided to have an epic Twitter meltdown after the program. I want you to take a look at some of our favorite tweets. I almost missed it because I was going to bed after a long day. He tweets, here we go. And this was our video, actually. He says, NRA TV is losing the moral high ground on what was once their core values. So let's try to talk about anything and everything under the sun to deflect from the issue at hand. We know we are on the right track when that happens. When what happens? When are you on the right track? What are you talking about? Losing the moral high ground on what once was core values. I'm discussing specifically in this video clip how you, Chief Acevedo, have zero high ground on which to lecture law-abiding Americans when you refuse to uphold the law and you're in the capacity as police chief, which, by the way, is a politically appointed position. It is not one for which you are elected. It is not one for which you are held accountable by the people, and the people invest no authority in you by way of said vote. And you actually champion sanctuary city laws, and you discuss quite broadly violating immigration laws. And don't forget, it was Justice Stevens, I think, in his opinion, when the Supreme Court ruled in this particular, in the case of actual who gets to decide immigration law, and it was that it's the Supreme Court who had the final say that it was the federal government, that is their jurisdiction. States don't get to override that. In fact, that was actually used to browbeat Arizona Governor Jan Brewer by Eric Holder, who was then former AG in Obama's DOJ. He actually really generously stretched that and went after every governor who decided to uphold immigration law in their own state. So, Chief Acevedo, this is just, you support sanctuary city laws. You support lawlessness and law breaking. You don't get to cherry pick what laws that you support, and you should know that, particularly as police chief, right? And you don't get to lecture anyone else, particularly law-abiding Americans, on what you think we should be able to do with our Second Amendment natural rights.